Coming up, President Trump pulling the plug on the Eagles' Super Bowl celebration. He says it's because the team disrespected the flag. Players say they didn't want to come anyway. It's the longest version of the anthem ever. Plus, apparently, hindsight not 2020. Just ask Bill Clinton, the former president, under fire for his response to questions about Me Too and Monica Lewinsky. And later, the sound of TV turning off all across the country. Miss America makes it official. No more bikini bodies on display. And believe it or not, Britt doesn't like that. Like It or Not starts right now. Hey there, thanks for joining us with Guy Lambert and Britt McHenry. I'm Bram Weinstein. No evening gowns either. What in the world is going on? 2018 stinks.
I'm telling you.
Why? Like, it's not a pageant anymore.
Yeah.
Even though I think pageants are incredibly outdated.
Yeah.
Why can't I look at women? What is wrong with you people?
Why can't we have men in pageants in their swim trunks?
Why can't we do both?
I'd like to talk more about that, but we got to start with this, which is how everything opens, especially in sports. Let's get to what's trending here. First up, it's Fly, Eagles, Fly. Just not down to D.C. The Super Bowl champions had their White House invitation revoked by President Trump earlier this week. And the reason why, well, depends on who you ask. He says it was because of the disrespect the team and the league showed towards the national anthem by taking a knee by some of the players, despite the fact that none of the Eagles actually did last year. Other people say it was because so few players were actually planning to show up. Instead, the White House put on its own event for fans that the president called a celebration of America. This isn't the first time the president has canceled a sports event at the White House, and it is a safe bet it will not be the last. Just ask LeBron James.
No matter who wins this series, no one wants to invite anyway, so it won't be Golden State or Cleveland going.
So, like it or not, no brotherly love for Philly at 1600 Penn.
So who's not winning this series, LeBron? You're not right now, down 2 games. I think
trust me, Golden State's not going either. Listen to Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, they're not going either.
Yeah, I mean, nobody grandstands better than Steve Kerr about politics, even though he's less informed than I personally think he should be. I'm bringing the heat with this. Look, actually, that's a little bit wrong because there was an Eagles player, he got cut, but there was an Eagles player who kneeled in preseason. And look, I think this doesn't bother me as much. You know how I feel about the anthem. They weren't going to show up anyway. In fact, I think they were planning on kind of trolling the president a bit, from what I understand, and sending like the mascot and a couple coaches. So why would you want them to come to your party?
Well, why,
Revoke it.
If the president calls them SOBs, why would they come?
Would you want to go?
That comment was in poor taste, but that was not specific to every single NFL player. And we obviously know the president says a lot of remarks. Look, I didn't like the Access Hollywood tape. I know that I come on here, I defend a lot of things the White House does. I didn't like that as a woman. He says a lot of things he shouldn't, but I think it's the office. It's the highest office in the land. I went to the White House when I was invited by President Barack Obama, and I wasn't a fan of him.
He doesn't care about their personal freedom of expression. Yeah. So why would they go there to express themselves when it's just going into a deaf ear? He doesn't care what they think.
It's about having a moment that the country and Eagles fans can see and celebrate with, and having respect for the president.
Who made him judge, jury, and executioner to dictate as to whether or not you're patriotic enough to come to the White House, which, by the way, is our
63
house.
million Americans?
The people's house. It's not his house. It's, you know, it doesn't say Trump Towers on the White House. So I kind of take offense that he's saying, hey, I'm the one that's going to decide whether or not you're patriotic. You have enough patriotism to come to the White House. I take issue with that. And once again, this has nothing to do with disrespecting the flag.
That also was the lie. It's not about disrespecting the flag.
But then why use the flag? The flag gives you the biggest audience, the largest microphone. They didn't use the flag. They do it during the anthem with the flag.
Yeah, because they are trying to call attention to an issue that's affecting a lot of folks.
But at least say what it's about. Don't say it's about something it's not. It's not about the military. It never was.
It can be to people who have strong military ties and think that
but if they tell
you should do
once again, you don't respect their freedom of expression because they're telling you what it's about and you don't want to hear it.
Because what I think that the anthem and the flag stands for is different than what they're doing, right? So
they're just trying to call attention during the singing
I never
of the
said
anthem.
the protest was about that. I know the protest is to police brutality.
That's not what the White House said in their statement about why they canceled the party. They said it was about the military.
Because if someone thinks that's a moment to respect the military and you're doing something counterintuitive to that, then that could be your interpretation of it.
Not only that, but the NFL owners got it their way, got it the way that they wanted it. And so if you look at it, once a bully, always a bully. Yeah. Why are they still bullying these NFL players?
I don't know. We're in the spring. I don't understand it. And after disinviting the Eagles from their scheduled visit, as we mentioned, the president asked the team's fans, or staffers really, to join him for an event on the South Lawn of the White House. Then the president got thrown for his own patriotic loop. Check out the Kung Fu movie version of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a...
I'm sorry. If you listen, the man doesn't understand the word hypocrite. Yeah. Okay, there's no word in his dictionary where he would understand what that means. But if you're going to demand patriotism, at least be one.
You have to be able to sing it forward, backward, and rap it when you're in his position. I mean, come on, Britt. You got nothing.
I got nothing on that one. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Can I ask a serious question? Mm-hmm. Why is he belaboring the point about the NFL in June when they're not on television? I was going to say, why are we even talking about
this? The one thing we can take from this is that this isn't going to just happen once. It's going to be, like last season, every single week, because his base, which is about 33% of Americans that are predominantly always ride or die Trump,
yes,
they are very behind this issue.
That's
and
right.
He knows it. And so in the reality television mode of the White House, it's going to happen every week this NFL season.
Yes, it is, unless they stop
Even if there isn't someone kneeling, he's going to tweet before Sunday. Yeah. But to start the season, I would bet $1,000 on it. Stand for our anthem. It's what people should do. You know what I think is amazing about this, too? That Fox, a parent company that does a lot of very pro-Trump programming, right, is heavily invested in broadcasting NFL games. So I don't really understand what they get out of this to see ratings decline in the NFL, which is what the president is clearly trying to do. Yeah, they're two really separate entities.
I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure.
He knows all the words by the end of the season.
Yeah.
Do you know all the words?
I really don't.
Hey, listen, let's all agree on this. No matter what color your political affiliation, everyone is rocking the red in D.C. these days, and Bryce Harper doesn't like that. We'll tell you why next. I really did not think I would ever see the day where the Caps took over Washington, D.C., and that is what has happened here.
It was such a beautiful sight.
Doesn't it feel good?
It's just amazing.
There were bartenders getting on top of the bar screaming, "It's our time."
Yeah.
There's the drunk ones here.
Yeah, the polls of favorite sports team in town have been off here, too. There's a silent majority that have loved the Caps for a long time. Yeah. Liberal or conservative, pretty much everyone in D.C. is loving the Washington Capitals these days. Finally, after years of praying to the hockey gods, we can come together and say, yes, we can. The Capitals have a generational player and in recent years entered the playoffs as hockey's best team coming out of the regular season, but nothing seemed to ever really align for them. But as they say in Vegas, the house always wins, and the house has been winning big here. The scene was something that was usually exclusive to inaugurations in this town, but they packed Capital One Arena for away games and then filled the streets outside for the ones at home as well. Really, though, the only person not rocking the red might be Bryce Harper, who was caught sulking in his Vegas jersey during Monday night's blowout. So I think it is safe to say that we all like this one.
Yeah, very much so. And with regard,
he's from Las Vegas.
But yeah,
first we should say that.
Issue with that.
This is not John Wall, who wears Cowboys jerseys and is from North Carolina.
Yeah.
He is from Las Vegas. It's their first professional team. I absolve him a little bit.
Yes,
here.
But was this team there this day a year ago?
No.
But it's still from his hometown.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm just a little torn on it.
Season
because he's
started,
been here now for how long?
Yes.
8 years?
And we're begging him to stay. And we want him to be part of this community. Well, you never know. You don't know. We'll see.
He can wear that jersey all he wants to if he stays.
Max Scherzer has been all caps. I got a photo from my friend who works at MLB Network. And in the interview with them today, he wore the all caps. So he was doing the chant with Ryan Zimmerman.
Yep.
I like seeing that.
Yeah.
You know what I really like? Everybody, including myself, jumping on the bandwagon. You know, I said this before, I wasn't the biggest hockey fan, but it's so cool to be introduced to all these new players. For me, new players, and then to see the whole
Alex
city.
Ovechkin,
Well, not Alex.
new
I mean,
player.
we all know
No,
Alex
but they have a
Ovechkin,
lot of new
but
players
to
this
see
year.
everyone come together as one. It's just been great.
I'm happy for the ownership, too. They have built a community here. They've been loyal to a lot of these players. They have dealt with a lot of disappointment, and disappointment is an operative term here because they've had a competitive team, and they get into the playoffs every year. We've taken that for granted with them. It can be a lot worse. It just never aligned for them, and now it's finally happening. And I'm happy for the ownership group for this team because they've deserved a championship.
Great for the ownership. We've been loyal to them. Okay, how
Absolutely.
many second-round exits to the Penguins?
Still, having a
and have
highly
this
competitive team should be noted here. We really should note that. That happens. That doesn't have to happen everywhere you go.
Well, I think Evgeny Kuznetsov's going to win the Conn Smythe. Maybe over Ovechkin,
Maybe.
best player of the final.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, the next Miss America may break the mold because she won't have to worry about her swimsuit body. Isn't that the whole point? Coming up next, the major changes the beauty pageant just announced, like it or not.
Me Too went into the Wayback Machine this week when the former president, Bill Clinton, was asked to revisit his Oval Office behavior in light of the Me Too movement. And Bill sounded like he was hanging out in the old boys network. The former president sat down with the Today Show on Monday. Monica Lewinsky was the young woman who worked in the White House who he adamantly said he did not have sexual relations with, but he did enough. And revisiting it wasn't of interest to Clinton, and his answer shifted the focus on the power dynamic and somewhat to his victimization. So Tuesday, he went on The Late Show for a shot at a do-over. Take a look.
And so it seemed tone deaf to me because you seemed offended to be asked about this thing when, in all due respect, sir, your behavior was the most famous example of a powerful man sexually misbehaving in the workplace of my lifetime. And so it doesn't seem surprising that the question would be asked. Why are you surprised?
No, the question had been asked.
By him?
No, by other people in this context.
The Me Too context.
Yes, and I didn't mind at all. But I didn't like this one because it started with an assertion that basically I had never apologized, as if I had never tried to come to grips with it, and as if there had been no attempt to hold me accountable, which anybody who lived through that and knew the facts knew wasn't so. Nonetheless, I realized, hey, there are a lot of people that don't have any memory of that, and all they saw was me mad, and I seemed to be tone deaf, to put it mildly. I think it's important. People need to know. I apologize. I meant it then. I mean it now. I've lived with the consequences, and I still support Me Too.
Wow.
He supports Me Too, all right.
Yeah, well, he also said that when he watched the original interview with Today Show, he didn't like what he saw either.
Yeah.
So I think he realizes he made a mistake in the context of it. And to Stephen Colbert's point, I think he was surprised by the question. I don't know if he should be, but he was.
Yeah. President Trump should take note of that. The do-over part, Bill Clinton did a very good job.
Well, that's never going to happen. But go on.
I'll say this. He does need to give Monica Lewinsky an apology. She's owed an apology.
Why?
Not for what happened, but what happened after the fact. Look at her life. Former President Bill Clinton went on to amass a lot of money. His wife ran for the president of the United
and that's
States.
a product of the culture and the press
still
and
dealing
the society.
with this day in and day out.
Now listen, I am never for social media mobs. I've been a victim of it. I've been a cause of it. I don't like to see people destroyed online, and she was bullied a lot. This was a consensual relationship between two adults. Yes, she was young, but she was 22 years old. At 22 years old, I know enough to not give a in the Oval Office. I'm sorry. I'm going to say that because that's what she did. So I think they're two adults. I think maybe they both could be apologetic about the situation. But when I saw the outrage that he wouldn't apologize to her, how did she not know what she was getting into?
I think the word consensual is important here because this is different in the context of the Me Too movement in that we were talking about people like Harvey Weinstein or Louis C.K. where they did things that were not consensual with people. And that's the danger of lumping all of this together. That said, in the midst of the Me Too movement, I don't think it's inappropriate at all to ask President Clinton, and I agree with Stephen Colbert on the larger point. He is the prime example of this of our lifetime, and so therefore a revisit of it was appropriate. How he answers it is really up to him.
Well, I can see, we work in television, how, you agree to do an interview, and there's always the ones they slip in because they get the big get, and so maybe he didn't think that would be part of it. I can understand that reasoning.
Yeah.
But we all know the history. Speaking of, history is about to change now moving forward. If you like the Miss America pageant for the glamorous evening gowns and sexy bikinis, you're going to have to go elsewhere for that. eye candy because the pageant is getting a huge makeover. At the competition in September, there will be no swimsuit portion, and contestants also don't have to wear evening gowns anymore. They can now wear whatever they choose, and these changes come as the Miss America organization is now being led entirely by women for the first time. The former leaders resigned after it was revealed they had sent disparaging emails to some contestants about their weight and their sex lives. So what do we think about the changes to this competition, which, by the way, has been around for quite some time?
A long time.
A very long time.
I'm not watching it anymore. I'm done. You know, come on. I mean,
Guy's an avid watcher. Really?
There is nothing wrong with the swimsuit portion of the competition, of the pageant. So now it's just a pageant. By the way, former Miss Texas, Kendall Morris, I believe her name is, she said she loved the swimsuit portion of the actual pageant. It empowered her. And what is wrong with celebrating being healthy and looking great?
There's some Instagram models just shedding tears.
It's a beauty pageant, right?
Yeah.
Are they showing up in parkas now? Is that what's happening here? You know, I'm sorry. I am done apologizing for liking looking at women.
Yeah.
Right? It does not mean I'm going to attack them. It does not mean I'm going to be a complete lech. It doesn't mean... But I do enjoy looking at women, and I'm sorry, but the reality of the popularity of this thing is the beauty part of it.
Yeah.
Do you want to cover them up more and take away some of the swimsuit portion of it? Okay. They can't wear evening gowns any longer, or they're not going to. I don't understand that. Playboy did this a couple of years ago where they got away from showing nude pictures in Playboy.
Didn't work.
And guess what? That lasted about 30 seconds.
Right.
And this is too, because the ratings of this are going to plummet. Go ask President Trump about Miss America and no swimsuits and see what he thinks. He'll give you an honest answer of what's going to happen.
I just think it's a little contradictory because Gretchen Carlson is now running the organization, and she's had a history of mistreatment by men, and so has this organization. I'm going to give them a pass on the changes need to be made. But were some of her dresses on the couch on Fox and Friends not as revealing as an evening gown would be? That's the first thing I thought. And also, I've been pretty vocal. I think women should put forth more of an image in covering up a little bit to be taken more seriously in the workplace. It's been controversial. But these girls work out really hard. I know a lot of Miss USA, Miss America pageant
scholarships
girls.
for it.
And so part of it is fitness and showing what they can do with their body. And I don't think that should be discouraged, which is what they're doing with these new rules.
Maybe the three of us should take it over.
You will not see a bikini. Not too many.
Is it enough for a 15-year-old to be mature, to leave home, live on their own? That's the question after Jada Pinkett Smith revealed on her Facebook Watch talk show, Red Table Talk, that her son Jaden asked to be emancipated when he was 15. Take a listen.
You got to a point where you told me straight up, you were like, Mom, I have to leave here to live my life.
Totally.
And I remember thinking to myself, as devastated as I was like, he's right.
Yeah.
The time is now. He's 15. It's time for him to leave the house.
Free at last at 15?
My father gave me a 10 o'clock curfew at 15, and I thought that was living wild and free. Are you kidding?
No.
He's 15 years old.
Boy, it's so easy to say when you have a net worth of $1 billion that you can let your son go.
I want to know what Will had to say about that.
Oh, please. Like, come on. They're not living in the real world with any of us.
Yeah.
Like, they're not. They're like, these are famous people with a ton of money. I'm not disparaging that. Congratulations to them for making that. But their son can live in any form that he wants, and they can oversee it. And
they're still paying.
They're still paying for all of it.
Yeah.
He's been in a professional atmosphere for a long time. Like, come on. Like, he's not living amongst all of us. There's no life lesson to be learned here whatsoever. Everyone else's 15-year-old needs to stay home.
Most
terrible thing to say.
15-year-olds are baristas at Starbucks or cleaning cars, not driving Porsches down Hollywood Boulevard.
High school students still need their parents. Maybe that one doesn't, but give me a break.
And I brought that up in my household, a smack to the face.
Yeah.
At 15 and now.
I think if my dad could keep me off Twitter now at 32, he still would.
Any other parent who says, yeah, go ahead, gets taken into jail, okay? They're okay with it because he can go live in the penthouse, down in Hollywood. It's ridiculous.
Hey, Jaden, I'll come live with you. Breakfast as we know it will never be the same because, like it or not, the International House of Pancakes is a thing of the past. We'll tell you why and how Beyonce may be involved. Coming up next.
My wife's into that. I don't do that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a stickler for the rules.
Perhaps you should
Pancakes in the morning.
IHOP.
Also, no selfies. That's the 2 rules for Brown.
Finally tonight, IHOP. WTF? For 60 years, the iconic breakfast spot has been the International House of Pancakes. But in a tweet earlier this week, the company said it's flipping the P and calling itself IHOB. But they didn't say what the B will stand for, teasing a big announcement next week. So, like it or not, International House of Breakfast, Bacon, Brunch, some on the internet are actually saying the B is for Beyonce.
They need one more letter, S, as in BS. I see publicity stunt.
Yeah.
That's all this is. Whatever the B is, it doesn't have anything to do with anything. They're the International House of Pancakes. Just stay that way.
Yeah.
All right?
I'm not one for them or Waffle House. Like, every time you try to eat, you put your forearms down.
It's
You get
kinda
syrup
sticky.
all over it. Yeah. And also, too, I love how more millennials are concerned about this than the fact that we're going to run out of Medicare and Social Security.
That's right.
In about 10 years, less than that.
My thing is, if
That
it's not
came out,
broke,
by the way.
don't fix it. What's wrong with IHOP? I mean, we all know that. We will all remember that to the end of time.
It's
Even
a
if they
publicity
change it to
stunt.
Beyonce.
It's a publicity stunt. We don't know what the B is because it's a publicity stunt. So
you know
that's
what?
all it
You know what?
is.
Those
Right.
drunk kids at 3 in the morning,
Yeah.
they don't care. P or B, they're at IHOP.
Best one I heard this week was Arby's has an actual font
Yeah.
and it's called Saucy AF.
Oh, wow.
Because they write all of their things
Yeah.
in their sauce, and the millennials know what AF stands for.
I love Arby's.
Yes.
I crush 2 mean cheeses.
Take that, IHOB.
Oh, with that, LOL.
Yeah. LOL, IHOB. And we'll see you all next week.
Why don't you just meet me